Hello and welcome. Today we're discussing the January 2018 Hero Arts kit. It's a much smaller stamp set than the last previous month, so we'll see how this goes. I hope there's enough variety in this to make it interesting. There are some really intricate dies in here. There's an ampersand that cuts out this really pretty die or shape, but you can also use this to, somehow this fits around here, to cut out the outer edge so you can make this pop up. And there's also some intricate I don't even know what to call these, lacy dies, I guess. We'll go with that. I've already prepped card number 1, so let's jump right in because these videos tend to be long. I have a piece of vellum that's 4 1/4 and approximately, I'm gonna measure this, 3 inches tall. I might trim this down. I just kind of pulled a scrap out of my drawer. And I also took a piece of pink cardstock and I used the heart die to emboss a bunch of hearts just to create a background onto the back of this. So I thought I'd stamp the love on the vellum. And I've got my mini Misty out. See if this will work. And I was kind of picturing, again, I haven't played with this. There's going to be a lot of experimenting. I don't pre-plan any of these cards out. I think what I'm going to do is stamp this in black. Try to center that. And I'm using the Lawn Fawn ink because I want it to be a nice dark black. And I'm also using my Misty so I can stamp this more than one time to get a nice good impression. This top of the L. This is the first time the stamp's been used, so that always makes a difference. Okay, I did shut the camera off. I was kind of getting frustrated. I was inking this up a gazillion times and I wasn't getting a good impression. So what I decided to do was to actually use black embossing powder, and I embossed it because now it's like a real true black, which is what I was kind of hoping for. So I just stamped it with a pigment ink and then used black detail embossing powder to stamp or to emboss the love on the vellum. I'm now going to peel up this love die off my Misty, and I'm going to get the second layer of the love die. And I think this was actually a good thing in a lot of ways. I think the end result's going to be prettier. So that's what you get for experimenting. You just have to go with it sometimes. Alright, so now I'm lining this up, and this looks pretty easy to line up. Alright, so now picking that up. I think that still looks okay. And I'm going to use my Versamark ink. And this is the same steps I followed for the love die, or the first stamp, I'm sorry, the love stamp. I just used black powder, and this time I'm going to use gold. So now I'm going to add the details in with gold. And it's kind of cool because some of them stamp right on top of the black, so it'll be kind of neat. Just knocking the excess powder off. And there we go. We have the love with the black and the gold. And the camera doesn't pick that up very well, does it? But it's very pretty. It's a very pretty stamp set. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim this down a little bit. I'll be right back. Okay, I did a little fussing off camera because I wasn't really sure where I was going to go with this. But the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to adhere this down to my top folding A2 card. And then I'm going to use the glue on the back of the vellum on the letters so it doesn't show. Set an ink pad on that while that dries a little bit. And then I used a die from My Favorite Things to cut out 3 little hearts out of black glitter cardstock. I've already lost a heart. Ooh. Where'd it go? It'll show up. And I'm going to adhere the hearts around the love. I was going to put sequins that came in the kit, but honestly, guys, they just didn't look good. And I just couldn't see gluing them down just because they came in the kit. I know that we're supposed to use this stuff in the kit, but I figured black glitter cardstock is something people generally have. I will be back when I find my 3rd heart. I like that it pulls the heart in from the background, the embossed background. And it also then has the, you know, the black from the love sentiment. So I think this actually pulls it together very nicely. So there we go. We have card number 1. Alright, for card number 2, I am going to cheat a little bit. I pulled out a background stamp from Impression Obsessions, and it's just a bunch of words. It's like, I don't know, like text from like a book. And I'm inking this up with light gray ink. The love stamp in this kit makes me think of like old world text or something, I don't know. So I had this idea to kind of put a real soft background onto a white panel, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And there we go. We have some real soft text, and it's a real light gray. It has a slight reddish tint I can see because I probably didn't clean the stamp very well, but that's alright. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Misty out, and I have the love stamp in it already. And I'm going to use my VersaFine ink so it's nice and black. And I'm going to ink up the love stamp. Stamp that down into the Misty, or the cardstock. I don't know if the camera's picking up. There's one little spot on the O that's not stamping quite right, so that's why I'm re-stamping, trying to get that to be solid. There we go. Cool. So now we have love on the back, on top of that little script background. Should say text background, isn't script cursive? Now, I debated this over and over again when I was playing around with this idea. I think I'm going to leave this off. I can't decide. I think I like just the regular, this love without the extra detail. And I think I'm going to add sending. There's a little word. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to add you. Let's try that. So I pulled you off the stamp set. Ink that up in VersaFine. Add that. And put this away. And then to dress this up, I'm going to heat set this because this is VersaFine ink and it smears if you don't. So I'm going to heat set this and I'll be right back. Alright, now that this is dry, I'm going to use just a tool that's got a point on it. If you can hear that, that's my son upstairs with my husband playing. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to poke a hole right above the L. And then I die cut a heart that was slightly bigger than the heart we used on the last card. It's still my favorite thing. Same stamp set, just a slightly bigger one in it. And I'm going to take a piece of thread, a gold thread, and I'm going to hang the heart from that L. Okay, that's about where I want that to hang, so I'm going to fix this on the back and cut off my excess string. And I have a leftover piece of fun foam that I'm going to put onto the back of this heart. I think I'm going to crop this down just a little bit, and then I'll fix that onto my top folding white note card. Alright, adding glue on the back. I really like the classic look of white, black, and red. Just can't go wrong with those colors. And lastly, I'm going to put a drop of glue over that little hole and place a bow that I tied out of that same gold ribbon right on top. There we go. And there we go. There's card number 2. For card number 3, I'm going to use some of this pattern paper that came in the kit. I cut this by 1.5 inches by 5.5, and I have a top folding note card. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Misty, and I'm actually going to try to stamp this right onto the card base rather than have a panel. Use my magnet to hold that down. I'm going to set the pattern paper here so for placement, so I know where to put it. I'm going to put the love die above that, and I'm going to stamp it in. This is Candied Apple Distress Ink. It was the red that I could find that matched the pattern paper the most clearly. I'm going to stamp it one more time. Distress ink isn't really made to use with clear stamps, so it doesn't stamp the greatest, but like I said, it was the red that was the closest, so we're going to make it work. And there's the love, and now we're going to pull this off and stamp the detail layer. And there's gray in this pattern paper, so I found a gray from Altenew. We actually used it in the last card. The silver stone was here, and it actually matched pretty well. So red and gray are not two colors I think to put together very often, but this paper is really pretty, so making it work. Okay, and I'm going to stamp it one more time just to darken up those layers a little bit. And I'm going to pull this out. And I'm going to adhere my pattern paper. This paper is actually, I'm sure you'll feel it when you get your kit out or whatever. It's really thick. It's a very nice quality paper. And I also had some mirror gold paper, and I cut a strip of that just to bring in the gold part of the pattern paper. And I think I'm going to find some sequins that match this. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the kit, the sequins out from the kit, and I tried those, but I didn't think the colors matched very well. And I want to use this stuff in the kit, but I also don't want to make a card that doesn't look nice either. So I went through my stash and I found I had these little hearts that have a mirror finish. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby. I don't know if they might have been at like Valentine's Day last year on clearance afterwards. And they're just, I'll hold it up, they're just tiny little hearts. You could probably die cut these out of red mirror paper if you really wanted to. Or I'm sure, I don't actually own any Nuvo drops. I've been trying to resist those until I get all my stickles used up. So you could probably just put Nuvo drops there. But those are the 3 little hearts, and I think that accents the card very nicely, and that's card number 3. All right, for card number 4, I'm going to try to create like a stained glass window effect with this die. I've already done the die cutting for this. I took a piece of gray cardstock and I die cut the heart out of the top third and got rid of all the little pieces. Then I took a piece of white cardstock and embossed the heart into the white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Copic markers and I'm going to color the spaces. And I'm going to do this off camera so you don't have to watch the whole process. I guess I'll do a section of it. But I can see the lines, so I'm just going to go through and color the spaces in with the colors that I want. Decided I'm going to do this card in purple and see what it looks like. And I'm going to make them mirror images. And the best part about this is you don't have to worry about being super neat. You just want to get the area colored. Let's see. I'm going to do... And I'm using V12, I'm using V15 and V17 of my Copics. You could do this with Distress ink, I'm sure. Like just do an ombre effect if you wanted to. That would be a lot faster than what I'm doing. But I think the effect of this is going to be kind of neat. So it's going to look like a hot mess. So I will continue to color this. I'll just speed it up so you don't have to watch the whole thing step by step. Alright, as you probably saw, I was putting this die cut over the top of this to make sure that I didn't miss any areas. And I think I have them all colored in because this is where this is going to be glued down. What I'm going to do is, you can use two-way glue, but I happen to have some spray adhesive, so I'm going to spray the back of this and adhere my die cut down to this piece of cardstock. Alright, now that we have that adhered down, I'm going to use some glue and put it around the heart. And then glue my, oops, I'm sorry. You should also put glue in this section here so these stick down. And then adhere, just like a puzzle, you're putting this back together. That original piece of gray cardstock we cut the die out of back on top. And we have this inlaid stained glass look. And then I'm going to add glue and glue this onto a dark purple. And then adhere that onto my white card base, which is a top folding A2. All right. I kind of debated this. There are a couple words in the stamp set, but they're really small, and I don't feel that they stuck out enough, so I kind of went hunting through my stash, and I found a die. This is from Lawn Fawn, and it says Love Ya, and I think this works perfectly with the card, so I'm going to use this to finish my card off. You could definitely use the sentiments that come in the stamp set if that's what you have, or if you have another die that's similar. This is from their newest release. I liked how it was a border. And I want it to be off center. So I'm going to line that up. And there we go, we have card number 4. I also did another variation of this in a different color. I actually like it just as well or even better. I did a series of pinks. The I Love You is also from Lawn Fawn. But there you go, there's 2 different versions of the same card. The pink is definitely more dramatic. The purple one's a little bit more subtle, but depending on who you're giving it to. I think this has a more romantic feel. This has more of a friendship feel. I don't know. But there you go. So there's card number 4 in 2 different styles. Alright, for card number 5, I've already prepped a few things. I used the heart die to die cut some mirror gold paper. I also have a sheet of acetate that's 4 1/4 and I don't know, 3 inches. And then I have some vanilla cardstock, and I embossed using a Stampin' Up! Sussex folder that just has hearts on it. And I have a top folding white, vanilla card base. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut a window in this card. So I don't know, I'll let you know what the measurements are when I actually do it, but about an inch and a half. I'm going to make like a inch to 1 1/4 inch size window. So I'll be right back and I'll show you what it looks like after I cut it. Alright, so I cut, this is 1 3/4 inches here. Then I cut 1 1/4 inch out, and then I have the rest of it remaining. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my adhesive and I'm going to put or glue in this piece of acetate. And it's a little big, I can just trim that off the side though. And I'm going to put this down where it should be on the card. I'm going to put some more adhesive here, and then I'll close this. So now I have an acetate window in the center of my card. And honestly, I'm looking at this and I think this should be a little bigger. So before this dries, I'm going to pull this off and I'm going to trim a little more off of it. Alright, so now this bottom piece measures 2 inches here. Oh no. It's poorly planned. I'm going to move my acetate a little bit. All this is going to get hidden under the embossed part, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but live and learn. Oh no. And I don't know if you could see that, but I had a little bit of glue showing on the acetate. I didn't want that to show. So, alright, I think it's all hidden now. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to line up the bottom of this with this card because that's where I want it to rest. I'm going to put some adhesive here, close this. Just letting that dry. Then I'm going to put adhesive on the back of my embossed panels, and I'm going to put that on the card here so it hides that. So we have a window in the center of our card. And I'm going to use my spray adhesive to spray that, and I'm going to lay the heart directly over this window just like so. So I'll be right back. I think I'm going to die cut another heart and glue it onto the inside of this because I don't want to see the ugly back of this. I'm questioning if I should do it out of ivory or vanilla, or should I do it out of gold? I'm thinking ivory so it blends in. Alright, I will die cut that and then we can adhere that on as well. Okay, so I have this cut out and I'm going to adhere my heart on, and the heart's symmetrical, which is really convenient for this process. I have a little curl on the front that isn't adhered down, so I'm going to see if I can get that. Okay. And then I also made this Love You banner, and I'm going to put that down at the bottom of the card and then trim off the excess. And there we go, we have card number 5. Okay, there's card number 5. Alright, for card number 6, I really like the way that ivory looked on that last card, so I cut another ivory panel, and I embossed some hearts with a Simon Says stamp plate here. And I only did some partial partial embossing because I wanted to leave this bottom part here open so we can stamp our word love. Alright, so now I'm putting this in my MISTI. And I'm going to line up this left a little mark in my paper. Well, must have been something on the stamp, left a little mark there. Alright, at any rate, let's use Versamark ink to ink this up. I know I'm off screen a little bit, but there we go. We're just inking up the stamp with Versamark. And we're going to stamp the word love so I can emboss. And I went through my stash and I found some red glitter embossing powder. I thought that would be pretty. So we're going to give it a try and see what it looks like. And I did forget to use my anti-static tool. I do that a lot. So hopefully it's not too bad. I'm going to get a paintbrush and knock off a couple pieces here that are in the love part, or the V of the love. So use your anti-static tool, but that's actually not too bad. Alright, I'm going to heat this. Okay, so now that I have that heat embossed, I don't know if the camera really picks up the glitter, but it's a nice glittery red. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp from the stamp set the word sending, and I'm going to use black ink so it'll say sending love. And just luckily there's a place to stamp it right above the word. So we have the word sending. And I'm going to use some of those hearts that we used way back on like card number 2, I think it was. And I'm going to add some little confetti hearts in here so it kind of highlights some of the falling hearts. And then I have an ivory card base that I'm going to adhere that to. And there we go, is card number 6. For card number 7, I wanted to try using white, black, and red again. I have a side fold A2 card, and I die cut the heart out of white cardstock, and I also die cut it out of white fun foam. And I couldn't believe how easy this was. So I'm going to glue these together. I'm hoping that's easy as well. So I have a raised up embellishment on my card. I used the Love You to emboss that in white on black cardstock, and I used the same embossing folder from a few cards ago, the hearts from Stampin' Up! In Sussex. And while I'm here, I'm going to adhere that onto my card base so that starts to dry. And I'm just going to set a block on that while it's doing that. And I'm going to use the spray adhesive to spray the back of my cardstock, and then I'm going to layer these two together. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I'm having one little curl that is not wanting to stick where I want it to stay, but I don't think anyone's going to notice that so much. Okay, what I'm going to do is take my shimmer spritz and I'm going to spray this just so there's a little bit of glimmer. If you have like Wink of Stella or something like that, that might be a good thing to do, to use as well. Well, I know the camera won't pick that up, but it is glittery. It's just got a real subtle shimmer to it. Move my wet paper out of the way. Okay, and now I'm going to spray the back of this with adhesive again, and then I'm going to adhere this to my card front. That spray adhesive is really a nice thing for this kind of intricate die, but if you've ever used it, it smells bad, so I do it outside, just so it doesn't stink up the whole house. Very cool. It's a little crooked. I'm wondering if I could peel it up. I'm not sure if I can. Okay. There we go. And then this little Love You that I made, I was trying to decide if I was going to stick this, I was kind of thinking right here, trying to decide if I want to dovetail that or leave it as is. I'm just going to shorten it a little bit. Yep, I think that might be it. It's a very simple, easy Valentine's Day card, or I guess just a card for a significant other. But I wish that shimmer showed up on the white heart. It's really pretty. But there you go. Alright, for card number 8, I thought I would try to make a wedding card. I have a panel which is left over from those other pieces of the vanilla. And what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to make this a square card, so I'm going to trim this off, but I want to make sure I have enough room on here to put these on here first. So the first thing I'm going to do is adhere these down to make a frame on my cardstock. I used a set of, and I believe it's Lawn Fawn, I'm not 100% sure, but it's a small set of letter dies that I had. And I'm going to adhere these down. I had the ampersand out. Where did I set that? Oh, right here. And I'm planning on stamping the ampersand here. So I'm going to glue down the letters to make sure that I get the placement right for this. I was really surprised that the kit didn't come with even small stamps that said Mr. and Mrs. because I thought this stamp set lent itself really well to wedding and anniversary cards as well as Valentine's Day, and it would really increase the versatility of the stamp set, but they didn't include it, so I guess we'll just make do and kind of substitute some other things in here. Now I'm going to trim the sides off and then I'm going to stamp my ampersand, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I have this trimmed up. It turns out to be about 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. I was really impressed with how well these all lined up. I might have to add a little bit more glue to this one. It keeps popping up over here. But while we're at it, I think we're going to stamp the ampersand here. And I can't decide if I want to use Hero Arts' red royal ink, or if I want to go back to that candy apple red. And I'm thinking the candy apple red because it's such a classic red color. So I think that's what we're going to do here. So we'll put the ampersand down. Let's use that candy apple red. I think. And again, Distress ink isn't really good for clear stamps. I mean, it's not going to hurt the stamp, but it doesn't stamp very well. So you're going to probably, if you have this, you're going to need to stamp it a few times. So if you have a MISTI, it'd be smart to do it in your MISTI. I'm going to move this magnet just a little bit. Yeah, I really do like this. This is like a classic red. Makes me think of wedding. Perfect. Wipe that off. And I'm going to see if I really actually like it just the way it is, but because this is so fancy, I thought we would add the detail stamp to this. Such a pretty thing. Okay. So I think I'm going to add gray because the gray goes along with that black, so it'll be very similar to the card we did. I don't know, I think it was card 3. I'm losing my mind at this point. Oh yeah, that's kind of nice. Do it again. Thought about stamping it in black, but there's already a lot of black on here. And I thought that would be too much. Okay, I like that, so we'll pull this out. So we have congratulations to the Mr. and Mrs. Or not congratulations, just Mr. and Mrs. I thought about sticking congratulations in here, but it didn't come in the kit, so the moment I'm going to leave it off. But I like the Mr. and Mrs. Set this aside. And I think I'm going to just take a little bit of glue and touch up this corner. For the most part, I had very good luck with this spray adhesive. I'm having a little more trouble with these than I did any of the other. It's not something I use very often. I just thought it would be convenient versus spending all that time dabbing glue. I guess you could use Stick It. I don't know. Thought this was just as fine or easier, fun, or whatever. Alright, I'm debating about putting some of these sequins on here. I'm going to play around a little bit and we'll see where we go. The problem I have with these is that they're not the same color. Alright, I'm going to play and see what I have that matches. After playing around, this is what I came up with. This is a 5" by 5" square card. And I'm just going to start adhering these layers together. I took a piece of black cardstock so that the front of the card would appear black, but it was white inside so we could write on it. And then I had another piece of that paper that we used, and it's in the kit. We used it on card 3. And then I'm going to adhere this down. And the real challenge of this was balancing this card out. We have all this red up here, so I wanted to put some color down towards the bottom. So I cut another heart with the My Favorite Things die out of that gold mirror paper. And then I thought we would add, these are sequins from the kit. To embellish this card, to give it just a little something. And there we go. That is card number 8. So it's nice to have a wedding card in my stash. Card number 8. Alright, for card number 9 I had this plan, and after I got all these die cut I could see that it wasn't going to work. So I'm just going to make this up as I go along. But what I've done is I have a piece of 2" by 5.5" cardstock, and I've die cut 4 hearts out of red paper. I cut 1 heart in half, and I'm going to make this into a border, like a lacy border. So I'm going to adhere those down onto the black cardstock. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so now I'm going to trim the excess pieces off the Okay, so now we have this kind of lacy decorative panel, and we're going to set this aside and let it dry before going on to the next step. Alright, I think I have a plan for card number 9. I really just love this border. It is so pretty. I love the little like weave that goes through it. It's really cool. What I've decided I think I'm going to try is I have a 4 1/4 by 5.5 red panel, and I'm going to take the love and I'm going to use this as spacing. I feel so limited in a sense that there's only one word in this stamp set really. So I guess we'll just make the best that we can out of it. Hopefully you guys aren't bored out of your mind. But if you are, I don't blame you, because I guess in a sense this is a little monotonous with, such a limited amount of things to pick from in a kit. I mean, I love the stamps, I love the dies, but as far as a video goes, there's not a lot of variation, and you're kind of limited. So, at any rate, I mean, so far I like the cards, so I guess that's all that matters. But okay, I'm going to get my anti-static tool. I'm going to actually remember this time. And stamp Love and Versamark. And I think that stamped pretty well. I'm going to use, this is called Champagne, but I think it really looks like a gold to me. I'm going to heat emboss this. So we have a really pretty Love. It's like I said, it's called Champagne, but it looks gold. I would say it's pretty much gold. And I'm going to adhere this, I don't know what to call it, banner down. And I also cut a real thin strip of that Mere Gold. Just make sure that looks okay. I think I'm going to do the U because I think it helps balance the card out more than the other ones. Might just be in my head on that, but... And I'm going to stamp it in VersaFine so it's a nice black. And then the last thing I'm going to do is take some of these sequins and dress up the card a little bit. Okay, I think I'm only going to add these 3 sequins. They're the clear ones. I kind of pulled them out of the bag. I didn't want to add any other colors to this. I think there's enough going on. I just think the sequence helps draw the attention up to the word love, but I don't want to compete with that border because it is really pretty. And I do like that as the main embellishment, so to speak, on the card. So alright, that's card number 9. Alright, card number 10. If you've watched any of my other videos, I always try to do an interactive card for the last card. And this was kind of challenging because I really didn't want to do a shaker card, but I don't know, I thought and thought and thought, looked and looked, and I got nothing. I could not come up with anything that wasn't a shaker card. So I was like, well, if I'm going to do a shaker card, I'm going to make it at least an unusual type of shaker card. So here's what I've done so far. I did all this because it was die cutting and I can't put my Big Shot under the camera, it won't fit. But this is the pink like pearl cardstock that came in the kit. I cut this down. This is 8 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I have a piece of black cardstock that is 5 1/2 inches by 4 1/4. This will be matted on the card like this. So this is the base of our card, and the card is actually going to open like this. So it's a little different. Obviously, I've cut the heart out of the center of this piece. Then I opened it up in this piece, and I made it so that they line up, so that they are like this when they're closed. So you can't really tell until you open the card. Alright, I've also die cut a piece of fun foam, and I have a piece of acetate that will fit over this hole. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my acetate down because I want that to dry. So we're going to start letting that dry. And this is going to be the window of our shaker, obviously. And then I'm also going to put the fun foam down. And I didn't want this to be like a real thick shaker. I wanted to be able to mail this, so I'm trying to keep it real simple. I want to make sure I can't see that pink foam through the window, so I'm going to double check that. If I need to, I can trim it away a little bit. I'm just going to take my scissors wherever those went, right here, and just trim this piece off. I'm afraid it's going to show, and it doesn't really matter that much. A little bit here. So I just trimmed a tiny bit away from those little parts that stick out. Okay. Eventually this is going to get mounted like so. And I'm actually debating putting another piece. This fun foam that I bought is really thin. I didn't know there was different thicknesses, but apparently there is. Maybe not. I think I'm not going to put anything crazy in here. I think I might just put glitter. I think that's enough of you know, of something in there. I'm also going to inlay this heart back in here, so I'm going to add that in. The pearl on this is real subtle too, so that's kind of a nice little accent without being crazy. Alright, I'm going to set a block on this and let this dry. And I'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, to fill my shaker, I have some like chunky silver glitter. Oh, that just went everywhere. Haha. Probably should not open that over your project. And I'm going to put a bunch of that in there. I think silver is going to be the main color. But I also saw I had these light pink hearts. I bought these at Michael's. So I'm going to add some of those. They are really a light pink, and I think they're going to blend in, but we'll put some in there anyway. Let's see if we've kind of got enough in there. Might add a smidgen more. I always have a hard time judging how much to put in cards. I don't know if there's some rule. Please feel free to leave me a note. I'd love to know if there's like some rule of thumb. I always try to cover like the window, or kind of get close to covering the window. Alright, now I'm going to put glue all the way around the edge of the heart. Hopefully we won't have a glitter mess. And I'm going to seal this up with my black cardstock. I went back and forth about whether or not to do black or white, but I decided black was a little bit more dramatic and it might help the silver show up more. It's kind of challenging because I can't see what I'm doing. I think that's pretty close though. Okay. Let's look at this a little bit. It's a little uneven. It's one of the things I love about that glue though. It gives you just a second or so to work with it. Oh, very cool. So now we have a shaker with some that silver glitter on the hearts. The hearts do show up a little bit if you know to look for them. I don't know if anyone will look at that and go, oh gee whiz, there's hearts in there, but hey, what do you know? So I love that. And this is the last decision, I guess, here that I have to make. But I found these in my stash. These are letters that say I heart you. And there's a dot for the I somewhere on my table. Misplaced it. I'll find that in a second. So I'm not sure I'm in love with this though. So the other option I came up with was I went back to that Lawn Fawn die that we use, and I kind of like the silver I love you at the bottom, and I might let the E hang over the heart a little bit. I think I like that better because it ties in with the glitter that's in the shaker part of the card. So I think that's what I'm going to do, so I'm not even going to worry about finding the dot to the I, even though this ties into the black. I guess if you like that, go through your alphabet dies and you can choose to do that. And I'm not going to put glue on the letter E because I think the E is going to hang over the window just a smidgen. And this way I'm not gluing my card shut. And I'll trim off the tails of the word. I really like these dies by Lawn Fawn. I think they're a nice subtle way to add like sentiments to cards. I use them quite often actually. And I know a few other companies have them, but I know Lawn Fawn has a whole series of them. But there we go. We have I love you with the shaker bits in the background. I don't know what you guys think, but that's card number 10. If you guys hung in there this long with me, I really appreciate it. After doing these cards, I would say I still like this kit. I really liked it when it came. I will definitely keep it, pull it out when I need to make wedding or Valentine's Day cards. I really like this heart. It's really nice and elegant. However, as far as like making a video, I mean, I wasn't that I didn't have fun, but I thought it was really challenging and it felt monotonous because you really had one main die and one main word, and there wasn't a lot of versatility in how you stamp those. So hopefully I gave you guys enough ideas and it felt like it wasn't too simple. I don't know, let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions for in the future, I'm all ears. If you leave me a comment or tell me your favorite card, I'm always appreciative. That really does help me keep feeling motivated to make videos like this. These do take a lot of time. I like doing it, but sometimes it makes me feel better to know that someone's watching them and I'm not just crafting in this empty void. And so I always appreciate that. So I'll leave photos of the cards. Again, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have fun with your kit.